As a spiritual activist, I'm always thinking about the spirit of the Black African American or indigenous person, their experience. And one thing that I've noticed is that things happen for a reason. And as we notice the mass awakenings happening within a lot of Black women, the divine feminine energy awakening, trying to awaken at least, that's more of our higher self. In turn, you have to go through the wounded feminine energy to get to that divine feminine energy. And so in that, the divine masculine is going to be awakening soon. I mean, it already has started, but I feel like there is going to be more of a, how can we say, more obvious experience that we can see. And that's happening because we have to think about the ancestral spirit. And, it's kind of hard to advocate for men as a woman because a lot of women are they feel like you're discrediting their experience. And I totally don't. I'm a Black woman myself. I understand the struggles that a lot of Black women have gone through, being in their masculine energy not out of choice, but out of necessity to survive and to provide for their families, because the Black male has been so heavily conditioned and programmed and used as a henchman for the monster mentality, for dominance, control, toxic masculinity, even though I hate all these labels, carrying the narcissistic spirit, not an essence of who they are, their soul, so women kind of have had to step up and be the man and the woman in a lot of life situations. But for the men who did do what they were supposed to, and the ancestors and the grandfather spirits and of the men who did carry the torch and who were in their divine masculine energy and who did provide for their family, so self-sacrificing that they, it was almost so much of obligation that they were not recognized as well. And that's the issue with the wounded feminine energy as well, as that mother and as that father. And this is deeper into more, the household, the provider, not necessarily teenager kids, that energy, but more of as we get into the Black family and, Black relationships, more on that phase of life. So it's that the men that never got their flowers, the men who work day in and day out, 12 hours, hard physical labor. Yeah, they may not have been able to be around emotionally and give emotionally, but what a lot of people don't understand is transcending worldly views, money is energetic currency as well. Money is providing an energy of love. That was their way of showing their love, was through providing. That's all they had the capacity for in those times. You know what I mean? Just like providing and nurturing the household and cooking and cleaning and yada yada, the stereotypical gender roles of a woman, that is also energetic currency. That's just as valuable as dollars. And a lot of times I think there are things set up and put into place that are designed to divide and conquer the Black male and female dynamic, the divine feminine, divine masculine dynamic, when in actuality, if you think of yin and yang energy, that total balance comes from that divine masculine and divine feminine, bringing that to the table and connecting it. Yes, each of us has a little dot of the other in us because we have the capacity to feel whatever role we have to feel to maintain and survive. But the, how can I say, supreme design, as you want to say, or divine design is for us to come together as one and not try to be the role of something else. God didn't make mistakes, and God created certain energy for a certain reason. And I feel like now we're transitioning. Either way, the attack has always been on the divine masculine energy and, the male, because that is a very, very powerful energy. If you think of like the sun, Ra, it is literally bringing life to things. And so when you kill that energy, when you kill the power, that solar plexus energy, you're left dim. Like there's no power. That light, like think of a machine, an old school like machine in the factory, and you have like that furnace going that's powering it up. When you dim that light and when you put that furnace out that's making that machine go, what happens? The machine no longer is working. Yes, the divine feminine energy is very powerful as well. It is actually bringing the life into the world. But what ignites the light? When you think of God, God is like, it's going to sound so weird, but I'm using like an analogy. God is like the sperm. It actually created, it's actually what's used to create the life. And the womb, so God is like the essence, let there be light. And then the womb is like the earth. The earth is like the energy of the womb. And so it's like carrying that energy and bringing the energy into the world. But what started it is that divine masculine energy. And so that's just as powerful as the same. But what is happening is there's this battle because both the male and female are feeling unappreciated and not, having their flowers and feeling burnt out and feeling this competition between the ego. And, media is always perpetuating this failure, the dynamic between the male and the female, and, making it seem like women do more than men and men do more than women. And there's exceptions to everything. There's deadbeat men, there's deadbeat women, there's sorry ass niggas, there's sorry ass females. It's just simple as that. And what we need to focus on are the ones who are actually doing what they have been called to do and take on the roles that God has put them in a place to be in. The rightful roles, you know what I'm saying? And so there's just a lot. And I feel like that male energy is needing its flowers. There needs to be less bashing and more compassion, more empathy, and trying to get to the roots of the problem and why we have been perpetuating this cycle of enabled, coddled men who have no sense of self-reflection or self-accountability. And same goes with the women. It's like we don't have accountability a lot of times either. We still feel like the victims, and that goes for the men as well. There's so many things within us as men, black men and women, that we have to go deep into, and without trying to deflect and point the finger, because that's one of the main things I noticed during the mass awakenings, that it went straight to exiling of the black male. And it's like, oh, it's my nigga, it's my dude, it's my yada yada yada, it's him. And a lot of it was that, and a lot of women had to leave situations or let their man go through breakdowns so they can have their breakthrough. But there's always two sides of a story, two sides of a coin. And we have to be able to wholeheartedly address all the issues, and so we can actually get to the healing. And that's kind of all I want to say for now. As always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. I love you guys. Peace out. The problem with not being energetically balanced is it can arise a lot of problems. A lot of times the black spirit, as a child, we want to nurture and let them be kids and have fun, especially as black parents, because we're like, once they get a certain age, reality is going to kick in. But I feel like there's a little more we can do to prepare them without stealing their innocence or joy, that equips them more with tools that they can actually use and become more empowered and autonomous, versus, giving them this false reality of fantasy. And then they're like, go through this major culture shock and feel resentment because they feel unprepared for the reality of the world and the challenges that they come. It's more about helping them understand how to get through the challenges versus pretending like they don't exist. Like there's always a famous quote that you can't change the world, only your reaction to it. So that's more of my philosophy in teaching my son how to deal with adversity in life, But when it comes to the feminine energy, it's more emotional, it's more chaotic, it's more free, it's more wild. And there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like we need to honor that energy as well. And that can be in male and female, gender wise. And sometimes it gets a little conflicting because men don't like to say that they have feminine energy. And I feel like a lot of things are labeled certain ways to create roadblocks, especially when people understand what people don't want to be considered or don't want to be labeled as. So if a man has a complex with feeling weak or feminine, they clearly are not going to want to address anything that is labeled feminine energy, even though that is powerful energy and creative energy. And so, but yeah, the reason why it's an issue to just have that is because there's no focus, there's no discipline, there's no structure. And even though being wild and free is fun, a lot of times you're going to need more than that. Even if you make your being fun and free lucrative, you still need some level of discipline and structure in your life and conviction in your life to maintain a level of success. Whether you hire it, you marry into it, date into it, or you learn how to cultivate it within yourself. Because we all have the power of being able to have that yin yang energy within us individually. But I'm a traditionalist when it comes to that, and I believe in the male brings a certain energy and the female brings a certain energy, and the energy then becomes one. I feel like that's more naturally, in essence, that divine union that God wants us to have. That's a lot of times not supported in this society. And we're losing a lot of that in our traditions and culture. But yeah, and so a lot of these young men who are coming up, they have a lot of aggressive energy, anger, and they don't know how to channel it. They have a lot of emotions that are a lot of times not, what can I say, acknowledged maybe. And it doesn't mean allow them to cry about everything. It's about helping them understand and become solution oriented, become men, help them become men and not just hush all that crying, hush all that stuff does. I get it. I do it sometimes too. But if you never balance it with explanation and actual teachings, they're only going to become repressed, resentful, abusive, sociopaths, narcissists, whatever you want to label it, diagnose it. But it's not going to help them in the long run become productive, confident, strong supporters and providers for their family. They have to be mentally sound to carry the weight and the burden of being a provider. And that is not acknowledged enough, the stress and the trauma of being a provider, just as much as it's not, just like right now how we're stressing a lot of the pressures that mothers and, the housewives face, the fathers face the same thing. And I'm not here to say, oh, we need to stop talking about women. No, not at all. We need to be talking about both. And this is the issue that they're trying to perpetuate in the spiritual awakening, is a divide and conquer tactic amongst the black male and female. They're digging that wedge deeper between that dynamic that already has been built on a foundation that is crumbling. And it's time to rebuild as fast as it's crumbling, or else we're going to be left high and dry. there's a lot of wisdom that has already been ingrained and instilled within our DNA that we have to tap into, that we have to activate in order to maintain. And I'm kind of stepping back because I'm not getting, I feel shadow banned for one. I don't understand it all, but I feel like it's calling me to focus more on building my own foundation. And in building my own foundation with my family, I'm doing wonders as a collective. Like it's basically still affecting the collective in a sense. And I think that's what we're all being called to. Focus on your family, your foundation, yourself first. Then you can work on other people. And I put so much free content out there, and people just, take, absorb. And it's great. That's what the wisdom is for. It's not in vain, but it's also put me in a space of, is this like, in order for this to be my livelihood, I have to make it lucrative. I have to be able to survive, or else I have to be able to put it on a back burner at some point because this is not bringing revenue for me or my family. But now I'm just kind of venting. So I want to keep it on track. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of downloads, and I think it's because I've been holding it off so long, trying to create a masterclass. And it's hard to stay disciplined when you cannot devote all your time and energy into your dream and passion. So things do come off rocky or unprofessional, whatever that people may want to label it. But you just have to know in your heart, the message will transcend any worldly imperfections, because those are just illusions. First of all, I don't have to ever do a live in my life to let my wisdom ripple through the collective. That's what people don't understand. Spirituality, when it comes to wisdom, does not have to be physically heard. We're connected by one mind. Comes from the same cloth. As I come to new levels of consciousness, those who are energetically connected to me will rise to that level of consciousness through resistance or whatever, or they will just continue to detach and go a different route. But those who want to come will come. And so that's where I try to relinquish and surrender the pressures that I put on myself, the goals that my mind try to make me feel like I have to adhere to. But yeah. So just be focused on balancing those energies and teaching your child how to, yes, be free, have fun, be wild, honor those feelings and energies as well, but also having structured, discipline, focus, conviction, not giving up when things get hard, breaking the traits that riddle our community in negative ways and trying to reframe them or reprogram them or reteach them or unlearn them, whatever it is, to continuously stay empowered, continuously stay fearless and in faith. Getting back to that, Christianity, yeah, anything man-made is not perfect. The Christianity is not perfect. The Bible is not perfect, because the word is still interpreted through man. And unless you're getting that divine connection directly through you, no other man's word, even if it's coming from divine, God, is still interpreted through man. It's not going to be perfect for you all the time. So in understanding that, I don't release my Christian roots or background because it has sustained me and and my ancestors and kept us grounded and kept us in a state of peace. But I do know that there is a lot in it as well that can box our spirit in, through shame, through worldly or societal norms, superiority, supremacy, all these constructs that don't belong in the Bible, the guilt, the self-judgment. There's so much in that can, make us feel like, oh, if you're a mom, you can't be this way. You can't dress this way. You can't do this. You can't be sexy. Just say that can be something we pull from being Christian. There's a lot within Christian culture that's conservative, that is mundane and mediocre to the Black spirit. And for the Black spirit to thrive, we need a level of wildness, freeness, freedom of expression. And a lot of times that is manipulated and exploited into different narratives or agendas. However, there is also encoded a lot of wisdom, and, the Black and African American and African ancestors, they put a lot of secrets into the church. When we were forced to go to church, we were also finding ways to continue the knowledge and wisdom that we had brought over with us. Because the one thing about the mind is people can't take it from you. They can try to manipulate it, but that wisdom is always going to be in there. That is always, you can carry it and hide it in plain sight. No one knows what's in there, up there. That's why they always say knowledge is power and the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Education is elevation. Doesn't mean you have to know all the books and history and dates and political and all this and that. It means just tap into your inner wisdom, into your divine intuition. The voice that tells you things that serve you in a way that's uplifting, empowering, motivating, not discouraging, disempowering, oppressive. That's all. I want to rise and shine your light in opulence, my solution seekers. It's your girl, the spiritual activist. So it's not going to be a long video at all. Well, knowing me, you never know. But anyway, I want to talk about accountability and shadow work. Just hold it for me, buddy. So I'm going to start with the little saying. Accountability can be a hard pill to swallow. I'm not going to say is, because nothing is obsolete. Nothing is definitive. I don't mean obsolete. Nothing is definitive. Like, meaning it's not set in stone. It can be a hard pill to swallow if you allow it to be. At the end of the day, you always have to remember you're in control of your life. You're in control of a lot of the things that you think, feel, and whatever, So it can be a hard pill to swallow, which a lot of times it is, because it takes a lot for a person to break themselves down, to look in a mirror and take that accountability for the things that they've allowed to happen in their lives and the things that they've done on their own. Some things are out of our control. As children, there's things that may have happened to us that as children we're helpless, or, whatever other circumstances where we were in a state where we couldn't make that choice, or we feel like the choice we made was to protect someone else or whatever. There's always exceptions, but overall it can be a hard pill to swallow. And in doing shadow work, a big part of shadow work to me is de-shadowing the mind. Of course, that's where it all starts. The mind is the system that you have to break down, that you have to reprogram to let go of all of the narratives, the false narratives that you've been told and you've been conditioned with, or programmed with, that defeat and break your spirit, that make you feel like you have to be a certain way or be boxed in or whatever, And at the end of the day, you do have to. I'm going to tell you one little trick I learned in my spiritual awakening. James, quiet. One thing I learned is that you can awaken yourself to be nothing but a big, like, you have to make a choice of who you're going to be. And I kind of want to save you the pain. Make that choice kind of in the beginning. It can change, but have an idea, have a foundation of who you are. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a woman, I'm Black, I have a hood tendencies, I come from the hood area, like, but I do have I'm very cultured, and just what I'm saying, like, just have some sense of self. And then after that, as you awaken more, you can redefine other things. Like, I had my ego had an idea what a good mother was. I'm starting to let that go little by little and redefine what motherhood is. And these are downloads I've had over 2 years ago, but I'm just now getting to a point. That's why a spiritual awakening is a very cyclical, like spiral type of journey, because sometimes you come back to things that you already knew when you're more at a grounded state to absorb it, because you absorb, especially these rapid awakenings. There's so much information that you're attaining and all that, so it can be it's hard to process, and sometimes your brain can only take so much. So in doing those crown chakra activations and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna need space to process, and rest is a really good one to do it. And setting your intentions and always asking for ease and grace. But I'm going to have to pause this because I'm about to go to work, but I'm going to do part 2 on this accountability and shadow work in a little bit. Hey guys, so a couple things that's been on my head. Let me see if I can remember them. One of them is like, me as a spiritual activist for the Black community, different spirits can speak through me, if that makes sense. Like, I'm fighting for I always say I'm giving God's grace to the abandoned race. But within that abandoned race, there's many intersectionalities. Like, there's the Black woman, the Black mother, the Black child, the Black father, the Black man. So, I may be offensive and triggering to other people, because in fighting for the injustice of one person in their intersectionality, like in fighting for the Black man, I may offend the Black woman. In fighting for the Black child, I may offend the Black parent. You see what I'm saying? So basically, you have to understand that my goal is about uplifting, empowering, and awakening that worth within each Black individual. So don't take any content that I have personally, because just because I say, the divine masculine needs flowers too, or the Black man needs flowers too, as a woman, as a Black woman, don't take that as a direct shot that you don't. And a lot of times we do that. Like, when in healing, things that trigger us, we automatically take it personally. Like, I know when the doula thing was rising, and a lot of people who didn't go the doula route or who didn't do the natural birthing were offended. And it's like, we have to sit back and realize that just because we're fighting for one thing does not mean we're fighting against another, if that makes sense. And that's something that I'm sorry, white people do a lot. Because Black people are fighting for the injustices of Black people, they automatically take it personal and start saying, but what about me? We're not talking about you right now. And that leads me right into, no white person should be. I mean, I understand allyship, and we do need white people to use their privilege to help bridge gaps in the justice and oppressive systems that are designed to keep us down. But to me, no white person should be trying to help, quote unquote, help or save a Black race, because a lot of times they don't know how to detach from the superiority or elitism, or those constructs that are in their mind. They don't understand the Black mind and how it has adapted. And a lot of the systems that are designed to help us for healing interventions are not designed with the compassion and empathy and the true understanding of what we go through as Black people. You can teach the Black experience till you're blue in the face, but nothing teaches the Black experience like living the Black experience, if that makes sense. So a white person will never understand what it feels like to be Black, because they will never be Black. Even people who grow up in poverty, they can change your skin. Like, your skin color is a big aspect of your oppression. Even though it does not define you, society keeps, how can I say this? Even though your skin color, your hair, none of those materialistic or physical attributes define you, they are defining you by the the oppression and the systems and the biases that are programmed within our mind that keep us oppressed, because they say, oh, when your hair is like this, it's unruly. When your hair is like this, it's nappy. When you dress like this, you're a thug. When you wear a hoodie, you're a thug. When you talk with a little twang in your voice, you're ghetto, you're ratchet. You're when you dress a certain way, you're a hoe. When you dress a certain way, you're you get what I'm saying? So basically, yeah, we don't want it to define us, because we just want to be free to express ourselves in whatever way we want to. To me, I let people be as long as they're not hurting anyone physically, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally. Do you, boo-boo? And a lot of times that's still with a gray area, because sometimes people can say, you're emotionally, you're making me uncomfortable, or you give me anxiety. A lot of times that's your problem. If me and my group of girls, we go into a brunch spot and we talking loud and we being ourselves, laughing, yada, 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 the next person to us, they can say, oh, they're making me emotionally unstable, or they're scaring me. Or that's their problem, because they feel like because we're having a good time, the way we are behaving is animalistic, savage, or ghetto, or disturbing. That is within them, because people have to break out of these elitist and entitled mentalities that's part of the monster mentality, and just realize, like, you own no one and no one owns you. Yes, there are certain rules and restrictions in society to keep everybody safe and sane and have that moral compass, but we're losing the moral compass by trying to control people. The mere act of trying to control and dominate a people is counterproductive of the idea of people being free, happy, and safe or saved, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and I was just talking to one of my co-workers, and we were just talking about Christianity, spirituality, children, the black child, the African American child, and all these things, and how we learn, and how, how things have been beat to death, like the Eurocentric standards, like even Christianity, even like mission work. Who says that they need saving? Who says these people need saving? There's this idea that American culture is better, when we're the ones that are based on this capitalistic society where we're just these walking, consuming robot zombies who are just trying to fill these voids of not really being free, but using these little things, and when I say free, I mean spiritually free, using these worldly, materialistic things to fill those voids of being empty. And and don't get me wrong, how can I say, reaping the benefits of our ancestors' work, or enjoying the fruits of our labor and the fruits of this land is not bad. Don't get it twisted. But what I'm saying is, we're coping with in an unhealthy way with the realities that we have. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it comes from being dominated and being oppressed, in all these types of systems. And I'm going all over the place. I'm totally lost my train of thought. But basically those are some things I want to talk about, because there's accountability and victim mentality that we have been so ingrained with, that create these financial roadblocks, these abundance roadblocks that we do have to reprogram and detach from. But I don't think a white person can teach that to us, because it's just so triggering. It's kind of like, who are you to tell me to let go of victim mentality and to let go and to have accountability when you truly don't understand? It takes someone like me, someone who's lived through these oppressive experiences, to let you know that, yes, we are victims, but not in the sense of helplessness. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, there are things that have been used to oppress us, but what are we going to do about it now? Iyanla Vanzant said something like, so what, now what? And that's kind of hard to hear sometimes, because trust me, I know it's triggering, but know that you're only hurting yourself when you realize that the more you hold on and have an attachment with something, this attachment with being like a crutch, even though crutches can be good, but if you're sitting and being debilitated by these things, then that's when they become roadblocks, and that's when you cannot elevate and attune, which means elevates and raise to the level of abundance. Abundance is a high vibrational energy, and to align with it or attune to it, you have to let go a lot of the things that are holding you down. It's a lot of baggage. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders. You got to let it go, and not let go in the sense of forgetting, but let it go in the sense of you're overpowering it now. And now you're proving all of those constructs and conditioning and programming wrong. All of the things that have been embedded in you to keep you down, you use as a motivation to prove wrong. That is how you get out of victimhood, victim mentality, and how you step up into your accountability, knowing that you ultimately have the power to give anything power over you. Anything that has power over you that is oppressing you is because you have allowed it to. Yes, there are physical worldly constructs. This does not take away from that. Don't forget that. And me talking, do not know that I never forget that there are things that are designed to keep us down. But we have the power to keep fighting it. You have to fight it. Just like you have to fight those dark spirits, those shadows that are arising. And doing ancestral healing and ancestral work, you have to realize the root is the lowest chakra. Doesn't mean it's the bottom of the barrel, but it does mean there are a lot of things you have to dig through from the, like, that's what getting it out the mud. If you think about it, you getting it out the mud. You digging through all of that to get to the surface, to see the light. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And in healing, you have to release all of those shadow aspects, all of those negative aspects. That's why black couples and black families are being torn apart, because those shadows are coming up. And as the collective mind is shifting, as we're going into a more state of love and open heart, it's pulling those who are unaware of the healing. You know what I'm saying? Or that are not ready for the healing that is taking place. And the way that the healing is being, how can I say, geared, it's kind of going back towards that a sense of superiority, classism, that mission work. It's coming from a perspective of someone who does not truly understand. And that's why the representation matters, and a lot of us need to wake up as healers, as spiritual teachers, because we need to teach from our perspective and our experience as being black people. It don't hit the same coming from somebody who truly don't understand what you've been through. Now, there are some people who come in the vessel of a white person who may have a soul that has been in multiple body forms. You know what I'm saying? Like, that does not mean they don't have the knowledge. Yes, please keep teaching the knowledge, but make sure you're always understanding that you don't understand. And you do not know, and you can't just tell somebody, just do this or do that, if you don't truly understand what that takes. What it takes to break down the constructs of the black spirit, of the black mind, of the black soul, people don't understand. And they take it lightly, and they've been manipulating and pulling and tugging at the black spirit in this whole mass awakening. And this is why black people are losing their minds and, going through this burnout, going through this just insanity and this spiritual warfare, because they don't even know what's happening within them. And we need more teachers and leaders to break that down and stop being so secretive and wanting to charge and wanting to... get your money, I understand. But put the information out there. Create masterclasses. Actually share the information. Stop holding it. What are you holding it for? Share it. These are not secrets. If you're here and you're called to be a teacher or leader, please teach. Stop with all the passive spiritual babble. Oh, it's a flower in the wind. Be a flower in the wind. Nigga, what does that mean? Stop bullshit. Like, everybody talks about intuition. People don't know what that means. The African Americans who are just now waking up don't understand that. And if you're not constantly trying to teach them, then what are you doing? I get it. A lot of times as a new emerging teacher, you want to prove yourself to your colleagues. You want to be like, oh, I know what y'all talking about too. I understand. But a good teacher knows how to break it down into a language where their students, followers, whatever you want to call yourself, understand. Because if they don't understand, how can they learn? If your purpose is to heal, how can they heal if they don't understand how to heal? And this is not a slug at my black spiritual teachers. I'm more power to you. I understand the pressures and the stresses that comes with being a light worker, being a healer, being a teacher. We take on a lot of, especially if you're like me and you carry the mind of the collective. And a lot of times you have to know how to detach from that mind and detach from the matrix, and also detach from mindsets that don't serve your lifestyle that you want. These are all gems I'm dropping, but I need feedback. If you follow me on Instagram, DM me, come to me. I'm trying to give like consultations. I need more, more interaction from you guys. I'm on @the.spiritual.activist. That's my Instagram. DM me. We can work through something. I'm also working on like a forum, like a community group on my website, and all that is in the link in my Instagram. And so I just want to get the word out, but honestly, I know deep down, I don't have to talk with anybody to elevate the collective mind. Consciousness supersedes social media and media outlets. As I shift my mindset, the collective will shift. But I also do like hands-on interactive thing. That is how black people are. We're kinetic learners. We learn through interaction. We learn through grandiose things, through passionate things. That's why a lot of times you feel like you gotta yell or do something drastic for your child to understand, because words boring, wah 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 wah. You gotta interact that. You gotta show it. You gotta do a skit. You gotta do a song. You gotta do a rap. You gotta do a dance to get their attention. But that goes into my whole conscious parenting and conscious teaching series. But yeah, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. It's just a little rant download. I probably done said this before, and I'm gonna keep saying it because the message is gonna always be what's the word I'm looking for? Relevant. But anyway, as always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out.